Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're really digging into something fascinating, Africa's digital frontier.
That's right. It's this incredible story of growth, massive potential, but also, well, some pretty significant challenges lurking beneath the surface.
Exactly, and there's this interesting dynamic, isn't there, like in East Africa, where traditional threats, maybe like terrorism, have seen a decline. But now there's this rise in piracy and, crucially for our discussion, a big surge in cybercrime.
Yeah. It's a shift, a really dynamic environment. Understanding what's driving it and what it means is, well, it's vital.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack not just what's happening, but really why it matters.
Yeah.
For Africa's own future, of course, but also for the global digital economy.
Right. And we're drawing on some solid sources reports from the Africa Defense Forum, Kearney, Brookings, D4D Hub. Good stuff to get a clear picture.
So you, listening in, should come away with a really comprehensive view. The opportunities, yes, but also the urgent calls to action. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first, this digital transformation story. It's genuinely remarkable, the infrastructure change.
Oh, unprecedented. Think about the scale. We're looking at projections of owing at 800 million broadband connections by the end of this year, 2024.
Wow, 800 million.
Yeah.
And that's nearly double what it was just, 5 years ago?
Exactly. Doubled in 5 years. And data traffic is just exploding, growing almost 30% every single year.
That's huge. So it really feels like a continent leaping forward digitally.
Absolutely. And it's happening on multiple fronts. You've got mobile operators pushing 4G out to 80% of the population.
90% coverage, okay.
Yeah, huge reach. And 5G is rolling out too, mainly in urban centers for now. But it's not just mobile.
Right, there's fiber too.
Loads of it. Last mile fiber networks passed something like 18 million homes and businesses this year, so it's getting deeper into communities, not just the big cities.
And then there's the satellite factor, Starlink.
Ah, yes, Starlink, a real disruptor.
How so? More than just another option.
Well, in some places, yeah. It's sometimes proving cheaper, more reliable, more consistent than the local guys. It's really forcing the traditional telcos to, step up their game.
Interesting. But not without challenges, I imagine.
No, definitely not. There are licensing hurdles. South Africa is a key example where they've run into issues getting the official go-ahead.
Okay, so zooming out, all this infrastructure, it's building something bigger, right?
Precisely. It's the foundation for this digital economy that's now estimated at, get this, $150 billion a year.
$150 billion.
Annually.
Annually. And growing fast. So the economic potential tied to this connectivity, it's just immense, transforming businesses big and small.
And speaking of transformation, we have to talk about mobile money.
Oh, absolutely essential. It's not just tech, it's been a catalyst for real financial inclusion, especially in sub-Saharan Africa.
Reaching millions who were just completely unbanked before.
Hundreds of millions. Think about villages, markets, places traditional banks just didn't reach. M-Pesa in Kenya is a classic example, right? Yeah, famous for its impact on poverty reduction, they say.
And the scale is just mind-blowing. Africa dominates this space, accounts for 70% of the global mobile money market.
70%, wow.
Yeah. In 2021 alone, 36.7 billion transactions. It's not just sending cash. It's built whole new ways for people and small businesses to operate. Safer, more efficient than cash.
So it basically allowed the continent to leapfrog over the need for traditional banking infrastructure in many places.
Exactly. Leapfrogged an entire era.
Okay, so we've got this picture of incredible growth, incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There usually is. And here it's the dark side of all this rapid digitalization, the cybersecurity threats.
And the numbers are pretty stark. What do we talk about in terms of losses?
Over $3.5 billion lost annually just from direct cyber attacks in Africa.
$3.5 billion. Direct costs.
Correct costs. And that doesn't even count the billions more from, reputational damage, lost business, investor confidence shaken. Those are harder to pin down, but just as real.
And this links back to what you said earlier about East Africa.
Yeah, the Africa Defense Forum points this out. Cyber attacks are a growing menace there. Kenya is a big target. And what's really worrying is how digital crime fuels other crime.
How so?
Well, think about piracy ransoms, which have shot up. That money doesn't just disappear. It often gets funneled into funding other transnational crimes. Human trafficking, weapons smuggling, drugs, it's all interconnected. Digital vulnerability has real-world, often violent consequences.
And COVID.
Yeah.
That must have just poured fuel on the fire.
Oh, absolutely. The massive sudden shift to remote work globally Companies everywhere were suddenly way more exposed. 61% of IT teams worldwide reported more attacks in 2020.
61%. And it's not always super sophisticated hackers, is it? There's this human element.
Hugely important. Over 82% of data breaches in 2022 involved a human element. That's stunning.
82%. So misconfigured systems?
Yep. Maybe leaving default passwords, open ports on servers, or just simple human error, clicking a bad link in an email, phishing. It means people are often the weakest link, regardless of the tech defenses.
Makes you realize cybersecurity isn't just a tech problem.
Not at all. It's people, process, awareness. And now, AI comes into the mix.
Ah, the double-edged sword.
Exactly. AI gives us amazing tools for detecting threats, spotting anomalies way faster, but the bad guys are using it too.
To automate attacks, make them more sophisticated.
Precisely. So policymakers have this really tricky job. Nurturing AI for innovation while managing the risks it creates. It's a tough balance.
And the stakes are incredibly high. You mentioned real-world consequences.
Yeah, think back to WannaCry, the ransomware attack on the UK's National Health Service in 2017.
I remember that. Crippled hospitals, didn't it?
It did. Shut down critical systems, impacted patient care. It drove home that cyber threats aren't just about data. They can threaten lives, essential services.
If that happened in the UK, you can imagine the impact on less resilient systems in parts of Africa. Critical infrastructure, maybe emerging digital health platforms.
Devastating. It just hammers home the need for proactive resilience, solid response plans, not just cleaning up after the fact.
So all this paints a complex picture. What about the overall digital readiness? There's this digitalization gap index.
Right. That index measures things like infrastructure, entrepreneurship, finance, public platforms, and, crucially, skills. And the gap is significant. Back in 2017, over 90% of the African countries sampled were below the G20 average on almost everything.
90% below average. Wow. Any particular area standing out?
Digital skills. That's consistently the biggest hurdle, according to sources like Brookings. In that 2017 sample, 100% every single country was below the G20 mean for digital skills.
100%. That's stark.
It is. And look at cybersecurity specifically. Globally, there was a shortage of maybe 4 million cybersecurity pros in 2019. Africa had only about 1,200 certified information systems, security professionals, CISSPs.
Only 1,200 out of a global pool.
Yeah, that's just 0.8% of the worldwide total. It highlights this massive skills deficit, and frankly, it underscores why platforms that connect organizations to skilled cyber professionals are so critical. It's great that our sponsor, www.cisomarketplace.com, is focused on bridging exactly that kind of gap.
Absolutely vital connection to make. So it's this weird contrast then, isn't it? Amazing infrastructure growth on one hand, but these persistent gaps in usage and skills on the other. You mentioned broadband penetration was around 50% median.
Right, but that drops to only 35% for high-speed connections. And even where high speed is available, almost half the population doesn't use it.
Why not? Just cost. Devices.
Often, yeah. Affordability is a major barrier, both the service cost and having a capable device creates this divide between access and actual use.
Which probably leads to underinvestment in security, too.
Very often, cyber risk gets treated as just an IT issue, not a core business risk that affects everything, so it doesn't get the funding it needs.
And then that results in
What?
weak national strategies?
Oh, in some cases, yes. Kearney talks about a disjointed and reactive national cyber posture. South Africa, for example, despite its advanced financial sector, is apparently still using a decade-old national cyber strategy. That leaves gaps, especially for things like fintech operating in a less regulated space.
And the regulation across the continent, that's patchy too.
Very much so. Take the African Union's Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, adopted way back in 2014.
Okay.
By 2021, only 13 out of 55 member states had actually ratified it. 13.
Got many.
Not at all. And that lack of legal harmony across borders, it's a gift to cyber criminals. They can just hop between jurisdictions with different laws, making it incredibly hard to chase them or coordinate a defense.
So even within organizations, the approach is sometimes incomplete.
Yeah. Many focus heavily on the identify, protect, detect side of things, finding threats, blocking them, which is good, obviously.
Yeah.
But they often underinvest in the respond and recover part. What do you do after a breach? How quickly can you get back online? Lacking solid plans there means attacks end up being way more costly and disruptive than they need to be.
And SMEs are particularly vulnerable, small businesses.
Often, yes. They tend to have fewer resources, lower readiness. Attackers know this, so they target SMEs as an entry point to get into the supply chains of larger organizations.
Right, the weakest link again.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of underreporting.
People just don't report cybercrime. Why not?
Several reasons. Lack of awareness. People don't know it is a crime or where to report it. Fear of bad publicity, especially for businesses worried about their reputation. Or just a lack of clear, effective channels to report through.
You mentioned Cameroon, Ghana.
Yeah, examples where reporting is known to be extremely low. In Cameroon, even though apparently over 90% of software systems have been hacked at some point, very few incidents get officially logged. In Ghana, firms fear the negative press.
And if crimes aren't reported?
Then you can't respond properly, the criminals face less risk, and nobody gets a true picture of how bad the problem really is. It's a vicious cycle.
Okay, so a lot of challenges. But what's the path forward? How does Africa build resilience? Kearney had that 4-point agenda.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid roadmap. First point, elevate cybersecurity on the policy agenda. Make it a top priority.
Meaning national strategies.
Exactly. Urgent implementation of strong national frameworks. Kearney suggests their RAC framework, Rapid Action Cybersecurity. The goal is to harmonize resilience efforts and get cybersecurity discussed at the highest levels of economic and national security planning. Move it from the IT basement to the boardroom, basically.
Makes sense. What's number 2?
Secure, sustained commitment. And that means investment.
Big numbers involved here.
It's pretty big. The estimate is African countries collectively need to spend around $22 billion on cybersecurity between 2022 and 2026.
$22 billion. Wow.
It sounds like a lot, but it works out to about 0.25% of the region's GDP. That's actually in line with international benchmarks for protecting valuable digital assets. Without that kind of sustained spending, the whole digital future is at risk.
So leaders really need to see this as core strategy, not just an expense.
Absolutely. And they need access to the right expertise to make those investments count, which, again, brings us back to the importance of resources like our sponsor, www.cisomarketplace.com, connecting businesses with that top-tier talent.
Right. So policy priority, sustained investment. What's third?
Fortify the entire ecosystem. It's not just about individual companies.
How do you do that?
Foster a culture of sharing threat intelligence across companies, across borders. Extend resilience thinking down through supply chains. Encourage public-private partnerships, industry alliances. Collaboration is key.
Like the Cisco and Interpol example. Sharing intel.
Exactly like that. Collective knowledge makes everyone stronger.
Okay, and the 4th point.
Build next-gen capabilities. This is about the future. Developing that skilled workforce we talked about, starting from schools, through universities, industry training.
Addressing that huge skills gap.
Directly. And also driving R&D into emerging threats. AI, blockchain. Stay ahead of the curve. It requires leaders to adopt what's called a value-at-risk mindset.
And value at risk.
Thinking proactively about the full potential impact of a breach, financial, reputational, operational, not just the immediate cleanup cost, allocate resources based on protecting that value.
So beyond those 4 points, cooperation seems critical too. Regional efforts.
Definitely. Things like IGAD's initiative in East Africa, sharing intelligence, harmonizing laws, that's vital. And globally, things are moving too. The new UN Convention Against Cybercrime from late 2024 signals a stronger international framework is emerging.
An opportunity for Africa to engage and shape those global rules.
A huge opportunity, yes, to ensure global cyber governance reflects African priorities and realities.
And finally, tying it back to mobile money and inclusion. Security is paramount there too.
It has to be. But it's more than just tech fixes. It needs informed users, informed providers, strong consumer protection. Policies that don't accidentally lock people out while trying to add security.
Tricky balance. What about tech, like cloud computing? Can that help?
It definitely offers advantages. Cost savings, better performance, often better security for fintechs and digital banks. Lets them leapfrog old legacy systems.
Provided
Provided the solutions can handle local challenges like spotty connectivity or power issues, especially outside the main cities.
And awareness campaigns. Educating users.
Absolutely essential. Educating consumers, small businesses about the risks, basic protective steps. You mentioned Ghana's e-levy. Earlier, scammers exploited the confusion around its rollout. Better awareness could have prevented a lot of that fraud. Informed users are a crucial line of defense.
So wrapping this all up, Africa's at this really critical juncture, isn't it?
Totally pivotal. This incredible digital potential, broadband explosion, mobile money revolution.
Running right alongside these huge cybersecurity challenges.
Yeah.
Gaps in skills, usage, policy.
Exactly. Progress is undeniable, but the gaps are serious. It's this constant tension, this race between innovation and the threats that follow.
So the final thought, the big question for you listening is, how does Africa navigate this?
Yeah, how does the continent not just defend its growing digital economy, but actually leverage this moment? How can digital resilience become a fundamental driver of growth, of well-being?
Attracting investment, shaping its own digital destiny.
Precisely. It's a journey where everyone has a role: governments, businesses, individuals, and yes, organizations like those connecting talent through platforms like www.cisomarketplace.com. Building that secure, prosperous digital future really takes everyone.